Okay, so joining the board is between 5 and 21 people according to our bylaws, and we meet once a month, first Thursday of the month, 7 to 9 p.m. And we also do lots of events, as you have seen on the slideshow. We do National Night Out, we do movies in the park, we do the annual Spooktacular, and then we participate in a lot of community events. We participate in the Learning Garden Lab events and things like the lane beautification. Now, board members can opt out of those events. They don't have to participate in them. You are required to attend at least 10 meetings a year, and we want you to participate, but that can vary for everyone. So come to us with your participation level that you can do, and we'll find a job that matches it. And if you aren't up for joining the board, but you still want to help, we have committee signups over there. We have free active committees, and you do not have to be a board member to be on a committee. We have equity and inclusion, which is headed up by Meg. We have events and communication, which is Derek and I. And then we have land use and transportation, which is Patrick and Stephanie. So, Derek, are you being blinded there? Do we need to?
I'll figure this. Wait a minute.
There you go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Leah Fisher, who is our Southeast Uplift representative.
Great, thank you. And you want me to talk a little bit about the process tonight? Great. So Chelsea kind of talked about the why and the what you can do as a volunteer on your neighborhood association board. I think a lot of the great thing is you can be on the board, you can be a part of the action, and as she mentioned, you can kind of give as much as you're able to give, and if you have special interests or skills or expertise, you can bring that to the board. So it's a really great opportunity to build leadership skills, develop, if you're really interested in getting your feet wet in finance, you can be a treasurer on the board, so it's a good opportunity to learn some new skills, get to know your neighbors a little bit better, and make your community a better place to live. So tonight, as it kind of outlines in your agenda, you're going to have your last opportunity, it looks like, well, is it by 7:40? It looks 7:30, 7:40 is the last opportunity to declare your candidacy, and Chelsea has made a really great form. They're over there, and just a quick statement about why you want to join the board, and that's mostly so that during the candidate statements you have something to say, and it doesn't have to be a polished speech, but just really speaking from the heart about why you want to participate and what you hope to accomplish. So that's going to happen up to 7:40. At that time, there's going to be candidate statements, about one minute each. And then elections take place, and those are by written ballot, so they are anonymous. And then after those, that closes at 8 o'clock. I will count those with one other volunteer, so we make sure we have, a dual counting happening. I'll count those up, and then Chelsea or another volunteer will announce the victors. And according to your bylaws, it's 50% majority, so 50 plus 1, I suppose. And after that time, you will have an opportunity to decide if you want to be an officer. And it looks like because you guys are on one-year cycles, all of the officer positions are open. And so you'll have an opportunity, if you are interested in being chair, co-chair, secretary, have that opportunity to do so. And so that's typically how it works. If there's anything that's funny that comes up, like a tie or anything, we just typically go to the bylaws and see what the neighborhood association bylaws say about those things. But I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
So as each candidate gives a statement, then we write the name onto our ballot?
Yeah, actually, ideally we'll write up the names. Okay, we have the whiteboard. We'll write the names up with a number. So that you can either vote by number, or a lot of people want to make sure that the right person that they want voted in is written out. So if you have space to also write the candidate name if you want, but it's going to be associated with the number. So you can vote by number or write down the name in that same number slot and vote that way.
And if you have not signed in and gotten a ballot from Rob, you cannot vote. But everybody here tonight is eligible to vote because these are our general elections. So if you live in the neighborhood, work in the neighborhood, or just love the neighborhood, make sure you sign in and get a ballot.
Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions about how it works?
I will also add, it's not part of I guess it's part of the process. So if you do become a board member, whether it's your second year, your third year, or you're new, Southeast Uplift does provide new board member orientation, so we're not just like sending you out with no knowledge of what you're supposed to be doing, and so that's usually, I've attended a couple times and it's pretty interactive, so it's a fun training, I think. And then also your staff liaison, which is in Brentwood-Darlington's case is me. I'm on hand to answer questions, whether it's like, hey Leah, I'm really confused about how my bylaws relate to X, Y, and Z, or I want to be a better public speaker and I want to try to engage people on this special project. Like, how can I make that happen? So that's what Southeast Uplift is really here to help with, is to help you all be successful in your roles.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll do a brief meet and greet. If it seems like that's longer time than we need, then I'll pull us all back before then. This is your final chance to fill out your board forms and get some coffee. And then if you have decided that you would like to be a board member, let's go ahead and have you hang out over by the sign-in table so that your neighbors can see who you are. And I think that's it. There we go. Okay, so grab some coffee, make sure you sign in, and potential board members, head over there to meet your neighbor.
And if you know, if you're a technology guru and want to try to help us troubleshoot this, I would appreciate it.
I'm gonna see if my computer did it.
So I thought I brought the right cord. Are you ready?
It's a Chromebook, it only has a couple of words.
I know sometimes we're funny about the Yes, there's forms over there. You fill out, or there's an online form that you fill out, and I have that as well. And yeah, actually, that's the the form went out on our site, Facebook, and right, so once everybody's declared their candidacy, that's what happens now, you can decide right now. Right, if you did.
I mean, I don't know. Oh, there's some rules with the woods. If it's painted or...
It's not painted. Is it treated? I don't, it might be treated with something. Yeah, I mean, it looks terrible now. If it was treated, it's not. Robert, you up on the, go down the canal. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you for coming.
It's a question of fences and boards.
Yeah.
For
Or is that too big?
Let me get my,
I know the list. That's what I want. And if it's not, I mean, we can use it and just put it. We'll just have a lot of look at the fire pit. Yeah. Yeah. Because my neighbor was telling me
Patrick, you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Traffic, okay, job.
Okay. See, but okay.
And you, oh my
See, yeah, unfortunately,
all right, well, thank you. Yeah, we need to get here.
no.
safety vest for everybody else.
Yeah, we're so low. So you tried. Honestly, we tried. Probably. I'll just leave it at
What is it?
HDMI serial.
Put a picture on the Facebook page.
Yeah, yes I am.
Yeah, and so
I think there might be some, because everybody's in, you know, that little tent they put up for the next. That's when you know, you got people like me that programs are short. I mean, I get the post office guys. Those guys are hardcore. Some of the post office guys go the whole year. It's short. But usually, like me, I'll be running short too. Come November,
I have no idea. I thought it was like years. No, I don't know. I'm guessing. But I just noticed it.
so I'm not working today. I'm negotiating the permits. I had like, I think I had like 3 listings for a while. So I'm kind of part of the team. So I'm the guy that goes out there. I'm like a job.
All right, Andrew. Thank you.
Win the listings from the other agents. And then I have a team, like a listing coordinator. I'm all the way, like this is a contract, filling the contract of a transaction coordinator. And then there's all these other people, like I don't video open house, we have hours agents that sit there on the open house. But still, there's a lot to manage. They're very technically oriented, because they're out of Seattle. Right. IT, probably last year, got went to Wall Street money. So it's kind of exciting, but for me, it's just getting used to. I used to be a solo agent who had less volume, which I spent a lot more time with my clients, but I made a lot less money. So now I've stepped into something more, you just got, it's like, you got to get used to post-colon the right thing. The first year, I'll get it. Because you got to know what to ask people. Because my wife works at transaction coordinator with a team that's used to be called Ranch, and Kelly went out on it. But everything in the thing job descriptions are different teams. So one guy has a log for me, and then with this model, I do that myself. Usually it's not for the role model, because they don't have addresses. So you got to work with the title plan to find out when was the well trip within the 15. And then you can going to all those people because that was seller's names. Like, because think about it, if it's a brand new property, it may not have been, it's got a tax number, but they might have split something up, and so there's no street when they're trying to well, that's like the first thing they're doing. If the well's no good, nobody's buying it, and then they put in a septic system. I might pass out those things because I was sitting at my desk all day today, staring at the computer. I might go with these new neighbors tomorrow.
Just in that.
Maybe we do want those. We want those goats. We want them. We like the Belmont goats. Yeah, eat those ones.
It's probably trust. Your grandparents set that up when you're a young lad. If you're just in a offensive war.
Nice work. Surgical.
Try to flow out and solve it. You look at
It's better to try to read it half and half.
So is there a way to
It's very interesting, yeah. I'm glad you brought it up, way to track. What we want to be doing, thinking about.
That's always the case. I think we're in way better position.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting
And it's changing to where
yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff with homeless. We need a Lima issue. The mailer about the Thanksgiving meal, like it was, for every $1.35, like yeah, price of meal.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's hard to tell who's real. I mean, I'd like to see them rated, like how efficient are you? How efficient are you?
Yeah, I try to do that in my hands.
That is an intentional agenda that is not allowing what you're talking about to happen. Because they're traveling and rating the distance.
Well, I shelf here, like, my background in politics, political science, and then, so I found like, I'm really anything like farming or environmental, like, that's all of my alleys, and, with the and stuff. I just had a daughter 4 months ago, and I gave her that picture. I didn't feel like it's time for fully.
So I thought that's an efficient number.
Well, I'm on 70 and Bill development, and I mean, it's about.
We have 20 positions.
Well, I'm
Everybody goes
Until somebody actually moves to the next.
I know you now, because I chatted. So you're good.
Well, Ted over our grows keeps going, you have to sign up and be on the board. Because there's
with us because they don't have to talk.
She posted it on,
Maybe this time next year.
Well, we'd love to have better communication. She's always.
okay. Thank you for coming. All right.
Oh, yeah. Were you mad at
Wait, did you come from like southern or central? Okay, no, I went to
I'm like, can I have work where you give me a call back? Here's the they're honest, they're trying to throw that stuff on the water bill. So that's.
If you're interested in making a
It's like,
difference.
no, you guys. No one's gonna make that argument. No. Okay, so just some past school law, right? Yeah. Now they're $89 million over that.
and I came back.
No, that plays right into the mess that we're in.
I feel like I've experienced neighborhood.
They had another person have to disappear.
It was a miserable school.
Oh my, I mean, that was 8 months. They're going out and they can't even verify that
Yeah. If you're a current board member and you would like to continue on, please sign up.
You still have to fill out the form.
Oh, Malcolm's not on. Malcolm?
I know it's. They're over on the table over there.
They're on the table.
Oh yeah, come see over there now.
We're at 2 more names.
I'm gonna try not to overthink this, but I think I'm just circling. Okay, I don't wanna, what's that?
Your form goes to her.
Can I use that?
My challenge?
Yeah. Okay, does that count?
There are pencils. You don't get to vote yet. It's not time yet.
Wait a minute.
It's not time yet. Take your
Thank
pencil.
you. Thank you, pencil.
Derek, I think you need to drink all the coffee brush.
Maybe. I just need to switch from the decaf to the regular.
Okay, guys, almost time. So current board members, if you want to stay on the board, fill out your things. And new ones, do the same.
We're gonna check them.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. I think my client has okay, there you go.
Oh, sure, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, she's twisted.
Improper. Also, you're supposed to be doing for inviting to get picked. So what is this? You have another role that, I don't know. Okay, I don't think it's really good.
Really?
I used to be part of
I think Gail will be the tiebreaker.
Lucky number is.
All right.
That's from your kids, right?
This actually is the BDNA's easel. Kendall dropped it off a couple weeks ago. But
We're able to keep it here?
yeah, my son has one too, so.
We having second thoughts about this? Cheerleader is that?
Gail makes the best for her time. And we send them out. So give it to her. You got one, Maria? Whatever occasion. And sometimes they're used to meeting guests. Things been done. Let me out.
Because if the community watch them, they watch them, they have like conflicts of interest. Because I have to abide by getting it out of my.
And then he was representing Darlington neighbors.
Yeah, bylaws. Oh, yeah? So the which ones? Oh, gotcha.
Oh, I see, that's all.
About 3 minutes, and if you're blinded by the sun, I don't know.
Great, you're doing that. I better blur all the photos, right? Here, I'll just.
I want to be in them at least.
Are you okay with photos?
I am. Thanks for asking. I just got to run it past my publicist stuff.
Oh, the learning garden?
About 2 minutes.
Okay. Oh, the big right. Man, that's beautiful. Yeah. The tree landed on it now. It's really oh, so big. Oh, that's I was so crazy. I'm driving by like, and then across the street.
And I gave the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Training doesn't exist. How so?
I mean, they got all the, ballet,
That was all.
All right, let's return to our seats.
Oh, really?
You could always join us. I have oh, yeah, this is just our annual plan, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have daughter who's
It's just if you do it outside of the normal things that you
Yeah, I think it's that time.
well, you do get 11 o'clock in that.
So we'll go with candidate statements.
All right, yeah, so candidate statements are next. We will go in order, so you can go down your ballot in order. And so we'll start with candidate 1, who is Lynn Reck. Lynn, do you want to come up and tell us why you want to join the board?
My name is Lynn Reck. My voice is a little hoarse. I'm fighting allergies right now. The reason I would like to join the board is I've been coming to the meetings for about 9 months now. I've been really impressed with the work that the current board has done, getting our elected officials to come out and to listen to the needs of the community, and I would like to help. I currently am a bookkeeper at a law firm downtown, so I think that I can offer my expertise as a bookkeeper and also apply for the treasurer position. I balance checkbooks, I pay bills, I do that all day pretty much. So I hope that you guys vote for me, and thank you for your consideration.
All right. Yeah. Shannon, you're up next. Who's not on there?
Is someone not on there that needed to be? Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't see you in here. Do we have your form?
Well, they told me to hold on to it, so I'm still holding on to it.
Well, bring it on up. We'll ask you.
Esther's important.
Snuffly.
Sorry.
You okay?
No, that's okay. Thank you. I should have asked. You know what? I'm going to squeeze you. Sorry if you've already started voting. Gonna have to read you.
All right, I'll just go. My name's Shannon Kane. I have been coming to the meetings for about 6 months. I just moved here about 1.5 years ago on 70th and Flavel, and I was likewise, like Lynn, really impressed with the board and everything that's been happening in the neighborhood, from you know, just community involvement in general, because I've been following the community watch, and I recently had a daughter 4 months ago, and so my background is in political science and environmental leadership. I am a farmer by trade, and so I'm just ready to put my foot in the door, start getting involved, and start doing what I said I was going to do, because now I'm a role model to this little one. And so I actually gave birth in my home, and so I feel like I really set roots in the community, and I'm not going anywhere. So yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Pam, you're up.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Pam Hodge, and I joined the board last year, and I would like to continue to serve. So I was born and raised in Brentwood-Darlington, so I feel like I have some roots here, and it's certainly changed over the years. I came back to Brentwood-Darlington 6 years ago to care for my now 93-year-old mother. So I've also have sort of the perspective of looking at the livability of Brentwood-Darlington through different age perspectives, and I'd like to see Brentwood-Darlington be livable for people of all ages, and just supporting Meg in her work on the Diversity Committee. During this last year, I've been most active in community outreach, and so Derek has supplied the board with lists of new neighbors moving in, and there's no better way to connect than to walk the talk, and so I go out every month and knock on doors and introduce new neighbors to the Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association. So I think that's really important in just building community. You know, what's a neighborhood association without people? And there's very little in this neighborhood that I'm not interested in. I'm rather eclectic. But some particular areas of focus, I think for me, even before I joined the board, I became re-engaged with the neighborhood because of the pollution concerns emanating from precision cast parts, you know, at the very south end of the neighborhood. And that's where I live. I live on the intersection of 58th and Harney Drive. So, but that pollution, you know, wafts all across our neighborhood and other neighborhoods as well, both air and water. So I served for a year, and I'm still engaged with the Oregon Health Authority in analyzing those issues. And I'm sorry, I'll wrap it up shortly. The other area of particular interest is the development of the Arrow Heights Nature Park, which I think is a tremendous asset to the neighborhood and potentially an even greater asset. I happened to pull up last week the 1991, I believe it was, study that the city did of Brentwood-Darlington and its potential, and they talked about the history of children living here way back when. They could, fish in Johnson Creek and go swimming there, and I'd like to see that the quality of the neighborhood return and make it a little bit more pristine and livable. So those are some of the reasons why I would like to stay engaged.
Stephanie, you're up.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Frederick. I moved here a year ago and I joined the board a year ago. I've had a year of learning what Brentwood-Darlington neighborhood is all about, and I have a long way to go, but I have I've become convinced that the Neighborhood Association can offer wonderful service to the residents of Brentwood-Darlington, and so I would like to be part of that. The board members have been wonderful to work with, and I've gotten to meet many of the residents as well, and so it's been a great pleasure for me to be a part of the Neighborhood Association. My particular interest is in transportation. And so I have started working with Patrick and members of the Land Use Committee and with neighboring people to try to start improving transit service here and also improve facilities for cyclists and pedestrians so that we have a neighborhood that's embraces all kinds of transportation and provides a lot of safety and options. So that's my main focus, but then I also like to support the board and help where I can. I've helped a little bit with the cleanup that's coming on Saturday, for example, and I'm maintaining a couple of TriNet bus stops so that they're free of trash and nice to use, or nicer to use than they were in the past. So my primary reason for continuing on the board is I wish to give service to the residents of Brentwood-Darlington.
I'm Tina Bjornstedt Shafransky and moved into the neighborhood about a year and a half ago. And first meeting, but I'm a joiner, so if I'm going to do the work, I'm going to join it. So there you have it.
Esther, you're up.
As most of you know, I'm Esther Fullerton. I'm currently the PTA president at Lane Middle School, and I am pretty much a Brentwood-Darlington native. I have lived here for 41 years. I live in the house that I grew up in. I have watched this community go through many, many changes. I want to say that they have, for the most part, in the last probably 4 or 5 years, been huge. I want to be part of making our community a better place, a beautiful place for our children, not only the little children, but the older children. I would like to be part of bringing back some services that we once had in the city of Portland, bring those back so that our children have a better life. I'm pretty much for the future generations. I've served on the PTA board for the last 2.5 years, and we've done beautification over at Lane. I'd like to continue that process and work to get Brentwood Park and the schools, the playgrounds for the schools in our neighborhood, Lane, Woodmere, Whitman, even Kelly and Lewis, even though they just got a new playground. I'd like to hold Portland Parks accountable for taking care of those and making them a beautiful place for our children to want to actually go and play and have safe equipment to play on. So that's pretty much my thing, is I would like to bring beauty back to our neighborhood and make it a better place.
Rob, you're up.
I'm Rob. I live on Flavelle Street. Moved into the neighborhood in 2014. I've been on the board for 2 years, and this past year served as vice chair. Past year and a half, I've had a job that's required a lot of work, a lot of travel. So I'm here probably, or I'm gone conversely, probably about a third of the time. So I try to, despite that, I've been to 10 of the meetings, 10 of the last 12 meetings, and I contribute in a variety of ways. I'm kind of, the vice or co-chair position doesn't have a lot of assigned responsibilities per se, so I've tried to be kind of a jack of all trades and try to just fill in and help out where I can when I'm available. Whether that's checking the mailbox, our board mailbox, or doing things to support Chelsea and some of the projects she has going on, just as I have time. I'm active on the community watch. Share probably a great concern that I think most of us do in the room, just about the degradation of quality of life, just concerns about livability in our neighborhood and the city in Portland in general. If I would be open to being vice chair again, particularly if no one else is interested in that, I'd be interested in also kind of further maybe codifying some responsibilities of the position, just to be more efficient within that role.
Hi. Once a year, you got to get up in front.
Yeah. So I am thrilled to be on the board for the last 3 years, and I have an education background and been a teacher, a school counselor, and it's always been through a social justice lens. So the equity and inclusion work that I have helped to start here and other people have really gotten on board with is, of course, an ongoing effort, which is to help us all be able to be inclusive and do outreach to folks who are experiencing all different kinds of marginalization and oppression. And particularly, I got especially interested in beefing it up when the immigration issues started to really surface in our neighborhood. For a lot of our residents, we have the most diverse neighborhood, second most diverse neighborhood in the whole city. And so that's something I'm really wanting to support, and to support other people to join in with. So I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Is it Garrick or Sherrick? He submitted online and I guess is not here tonight. So that's interesting. Malcolm, do you want to go ahead?
Malcolm Hancock, on Flavelle Drive. I've been on the board for Brentwood-Darlington, the still felony flats. Been cleaning up for a while, and some retreats at the house, and you do what you can. I'd like to say that the board has done more in the past 5 years than the previous 12, and you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you. Oh, I guess I'm next. Hi, everybody. I'm Chelsea Powers. I'm currently the board chair, and I'm running again because there's just too much going on not to. We have lots of events coming up, and I've been having a great time this year, trying new events and seeing what the community wants and bringing a lot of elected officials out to the community. I think that's been maybe one of my most favorite things I've done, is bring everybody to our neighborhood so that we don't have to go to them. And I was vice chair year for this, and I'm hoping to continue on as chair next year. So. Jean Blackmore desperately wanted to be here but is having a severe allergy attack. So I will read her, she did put in a statement, and so I'll go ahead and read it. It says, I have lived in BD the last 35 years, and I'm excited to see the changes our community is making and want to contribute as I can. With the body being over 70, I have to consider what activities I can actually contribute. The first 12 years out of high school, I was in banking, from teller through assistant operations supervisor, when I moved over to managing the local Fred Meyer Savings and Loan for a year. I later volunteered for 10 years on the supervisory committee of Pacific Northwest Ironworkers, FCU. Each of these positions required knowing when to speak up and when to keep my mouth closed. What signatures and where? Is it a legal transaction or is someone trying a fast one? Not to mention the amount of solid currency I was responsible for. I believe this background will help me be a qualified and thorough treasurer for BDNA. If I am not elected as treasurer, it would be an honor for me to serve as a general member doing whatever I can manage. And that is for Jean Blackmore, who's number 12. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
I'm Patrick. I've been on the board, I think it's 4 years now. Been the secretary the last 2 years. Not going to be running for that position again if everybody wants to, because jobs had a lot of travel, so I'm not sure I'll be able to reliably make it up to the meetings. But I'm willing to keep doing the land use. I've also been the land use chair. As far as why I'm on the board, well, in Portland, it seems we don't have, we have these commissioner-run government, and really only the squeaky wheel gets the grease here. So if we don't show up and we don't have enough people to vote, and it's nice to have at least 10 yays on these things at minimum. So we don't show up and aren't there to give good votes. They don't really listen to us.
Number 14 is Gail. She is also gone today. She is a continuing board member who has been on the board since 1992. For those of you who know Gail, she's one of our most reliable and active board members. She also is annually responsible for making sure movies in the park happen. So, but she was very, very sick, and we sent her home so that she would not get the rest of us sick. And then Derek, you're up last.
Anyway, so hello. I live 66 in Duke, and so I've been a board member I don't know how many years, maybe 4. I just put something up on Facebook about the neighborhood cleanup, and it had I think it was raining that day, so everyone's kind of under a canopy. So, and what I've been doing here at the meeting is getting lists of new neighbors and doing outreach. So typically I have the brochure with some labels that are provided generously from Chicago Title. We put those on there, maybe an insert with the dates as far as events that are coming up, and getting those in the mail. So now new neighbors get something in the mail from us with our logo. You start seeing that. And then ideally, if we could get door knocking, which will probably be easier as it gets warmer, we're hoping with that we'll get more people showing up. And I think the best time to get people is when they first move into the neighborhood. And so at least they kind of know about this, and they're not like showing up here 4 years later saying, oh, I wish somebody would have told me about this when I first moved into the neighborhood. So I think we're doing a good job doing that. And I do some other things like the coffee and the cookies too for the meeting. So anyway, I'd like to continue as a board member. So thank you.
I'm going to read Derek's testimony number 9. He's not here, but don't have to necessarily be here in person to run for the board, and he did submit a testimony, so I'm just reading that. It says, I'm new to the neighborhood and interested in helping us get sidewalks on our streets. I'd also like to build on BDNA's previous work to ensure that we have clean air. My background includes 20 years of experience in grassroots organizing and policy advocacy. If elected to serve on the board, I would bring my commitment to safe streets and clean air and work with neighbors to advance our shared goals in City Hall with business partners and in the state legislature. And he just wants to be a general board member.
All right.
Sorry, what number was that individual?
Number 9.
Yeah,
Number 9.
All right. So,
and just a reminder, because folks that are here in person or weren't able to make it but did submit their nomination or for candidacy, everyone needs to get 50% or more, so 50 plus 1. So even if you do need a vote for them, you do not vote for people, even though there are fewer than 21 positions up on the board, they still need your vote. So that's clear.
You must mark a yes or no.
Yes.
Yes, Esther?
So did anybody put down for secretary because?
That happens next. So we do a general, the way our bylaws are is we do an election of the board, and then the board members elect the officers, is how our bylaws are written.
And I don't see anyone that's expressed interest. Oh, no, there are.
We have a couple of
There's a
treasurer
couple.
interests and things like
So,
that.
secretary.
So go ahead and cast your votes, and then Leah will collect them.
Chelsea, there's no maximum number, I mean,
We must have a minimum of 5 board members, but we can have no more than 21. That's why there's only 21 on here.
okay.
Face down here.
That's the punishment or reward.
And once all ballots are turned in, we will do community announcements while Leah and Grant do the counting. All right, do we have any other ballots out?
Final ballots. Okay.
All right.
We're going to go to our secret location back here in the corner. Okay.
Stuff in the ballot box, jeez.
And while they're doing that, we're going to go ahead and have community announcements, starting with Carol, Multnomah County Library.
I'm glad to be here. Once again,
Carol, can we have you stand up here so that everybody can hear you, please?
Okay. I'm glad to be here, listening to your 1-minute things. I want to go through all of them. There are 2 piles there. One is the Holgate Library, which many of you use, and the other one is the Woodstock Library, where I work. I'm going to tell you briefly about a couple of things we've got going at the Woodstock Library. Following the theme of elections, we actually have something brought to us from the National Endowment for the Humanities Fund of the Library Foundation. And that is on Tuesday, May 22nd, from 6 to 7:30. There's going to be a workshop covering 20 topics related to our electoral systems and presenting specific ideas for bipartisan civic and political engagement. How they're going to fit the 20 topics into an hour and a half, I have no idea. But they've got juicy topics. Voting is a constitutional right, voters' rights, voter fraud, electoral college, etc. So, on a lighter note, for a family fun thing, we've got Make Your Own Sailboat with natural and recycled materials. This is going to be on Saturday, May 12th. Bring the kids. You get to paint and decorate the boats, and then you can sail them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Mary with the Botanical Gardens.
First off, I need to give you another kudos. So last month we had Commissioner Amanda Fritz as our speaker, and I made my little report on plant sale on April 21st. Lo and behold, Commissioner Fritz showed up 3 different times and bought plants.
Wonderful.
I loved it. Thank you for that opportunity to make a plug-in for Leach. So what's coming up this month, I'm hoping those of you with little ones will be ready to eat this up, because the theme is Chew, Chop, Slurp, How Critters Eat. It'll be Saturday, May 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's like kind of an open house where things will be happening all day, so you don't have to come at a set time. The only trick is finding a place to park up in the upper gardens, because it gets really cramped up there fast. So we always encourage people to either carpool or come in different shifts, so that you have a chance to get in and get out without being overwhelmed by trying to find a place to park all over the neighborhood. But there's going to be fun things happening on
on this fair this year. There's a lot of things for adults as well as kids. It's just looking at how an animal eats affects its body and its behavior. And they'll have things for people to look at and kind of explore how different animals eat and what kind of food they eat and how that affects them and the environment. So there's lots of things going on. I have a stack of these over here on the table and out front, so no excuse. I hope you can come. It's free. The only thing of cost will be 25-cent ice cream cones.
Mary, before you go, is there an update on the aerial walk?
Well, it's a go.
Do we have a timeline?
We'll probably start construction in November. Because the thing that's going to happen first is the bridge on 122nd that was damaged a couple years ago in the storm. That's going to be undergoing from July to November. And then construction on the Upper Garden Phase 1 will start right after they finish with the bridge.
Excellent.
So it's going to be kind of a weird year out at Leach after July.
Thank you. It's worth it. Okay, and Lane PTA, Esther?
Hi, Esther with Lane PTA again. We have one last PTA meeting for the year, which will be Tuesday, June 5th, 6:30 in the Lane Library at Lane Middle School at 7200 Southeast 60th Avenue. Also, next week is Teacher Appreciation Week at Lane. We have some events and things planned for the teachers. If you have children or you know a teacher or you live close to a school, I recommend stopping by with maybe a small treat or flowers or maybe a thank you card for their time and service. Teachers put in a lot of extra time to make sure that our children have an education. Glorified babysitter, no. They have to plan lessons and they have to grade papers and, deal with unruly middle school students and children that would rather be out playing in the dirt than learning their ABCs. So next week is Teachers Appreciation Week, May 7th through the 11th. And just stop in at any of your neighborhood schools and let them know that you appreciate all that the teachers do. Also, there will be another cleanup at Lane in August. It usually happens like a week or 2 weeks before school starts. So that's either August 18th or August 25th, which will be Portland Public Schools Community Cares Day. You don't have to volunteer at Lane, but she is the middle heart of our neighborhood, and she still will be the school pet project for me. But all of the Portland Public Schools will have community cares days, which involve volunteers coming and cleaning up trash, cleaning up weeds, planting flowers, spreading bark dust, painting in some cases. There's so much to be done. And to continue, Lane PTA is still collecting cans and bottles. You can contact us at lanepdxpta@gmail.com and let us know that you have cans or bottles. One of us will come and pick them up. We'll turn them in, and the money goes to the Lane PTA General Fund, which funds teacher grants, activities at the school, beautification projects, the library courtyard, and so much more. And this year, Lane is actually, for the 8th grade promotion, they're actually getting to promote in the evening at Franklin High School. So they will actually get to experience an evening event just dedicated to the 8th graders. So I'm really excited about that because I've been plugging for that for 3 years.
Grant is still counting, so I'll talk about upcoming events while he's doing that. We do have many upcoming events this spring and summer. The soonest one is our neighborhood cleanup, which is this Saturday. You can come dump your junk for a small suggested donation. or you can come volunteer and help your neighbors unload their junk. We have a list of prohibited materials over there. All the information's on the website. We are out of handouts because they've been very popular, except Derek might have a couple of these sweet talking in the new neighbor packets.
Yes, I'm handing out tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you have a PDF that we can send out? Or?
I do, and it's been up on the site as well.
Okay. So, yeah, see me if you want one.
Yep. Also, we have on June 16th, we're partnering with Foster, Powell, Lentz, and Mount Scott Leda neighborhood associations and participating in an event that's being put on by Metro, Kink the radio station, and Solve. They're calling it Paint the Town Green. And it's going to be litter pickup and graffiti abatement along 82nd. So we looked at it as a group of neighborhoods and decided to do work on the street that touches all of our neighborhoods. So if you'd like to be part of that, Metro's going to provide all the paint, and you can volunteer with us. We'll give you a BDNA name tag and a vest, and you can go help us clean up 82nd. Don't have to be a board member, don't even have to live in the neighborhood. We will take any and all volunteer bodies that would like to help us clean.
The date on that again?
June 16th.
It's on the back of your agendas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, your agendas have all of these that I'm talking about on the back in English and Spanish. Independence Day Parade is still in planning phases, so if you want to be involved in that, let me know. Movies in the Park is July 27th. That one will be at Brentwood Park. We get row 1. Thank you, Gail.
Wow.
And that starts at dusk. Beforehand, the Mars Rovers will be performing. And then, of course, we have National Night Out. The board chose to put that on August 4th. We are still in the planning stages of that as well. I've rented the community center, and we've talked about hot dogs,
So this
maybe a
location
band.
here, like this room and out there?
Yeah, I went ahead and rented this
Okay.
regardless.
And we talked about tamales too.
Yep, we talked about tamales, we talked about hot dogs, we talked about bands. So if you're interested in helping us plan that event, let us know. And then, of course, in October, we do our Spooktacular, which I think it's going to be its 4th year coming up. So, and that's a fun little, geared more towards family and smaller kids kind of Halloween event. It's not scary. And a trunk or treat in the parking lot where people decorate their cars and kids trick or treat the cars. So it's very fun, and it's very popular in the neighborhood, and we have a lot of fun with it. So, all right, do we have results? Okay. So, if I am reading this correctly, it looks like all of our board members have been voted in. All right, so new board members that you just got voted on, raise your hands and then give yourself a pat on the back. All right.
Renewed.
So we're going to take, we're even on schedule somehow. So we are going to take a 10-minute break where you can realize what you've done and come see Leah to fill out these beautiful forms that you are required to fill out. And also, this is your last chance to say, I'd like to maybe run for a board position, and declare that to Leah. Because board members, we will be voting on our 4 elected officers.
Later this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, one position that is not listed on here is the representative to the stool or Southeast Uplift.
Ours is
Board.
appointed, not elected.
Okay.
Yeah, these are only elected.
Someone that's doing.
Well, Paul was, but I don't know. I haven't heard from him.
Oh, yeah. He's,
Or
his
something.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
All right.
yes, we just have those voting.
Okay,
So, if you would like to run for a board officer position, that's chair, vice chair, treasurer, or secretary, let Leah know during the break. And we can take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back to look about ours. Before we go, Esther, yes?
I forgot to also mention that if you ever get bored or you want something to do, you don't have to be involved in a cleanup day to go over and make a difference at Lane. You can pull weeds, you can plant flowers, just about anything to beautify this schoolyard. We would greatly appreciate it.
And then we have one more question back there.
Hi, this is my second time here. I'm with Representative Reardon's office, he's District 48, and I he sent me down here to kind of check out the board voting, and I was wondering if I can get a picture of everybody. Just
all the board members?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
All right, board
of
members.
the newly elected board members.
Come stand for a picture, and then Celia for your forms. Okay, so board members, we now need to elect our officers. We have 4 elected positions. We have chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And I'm gonna let Leah go from there.
Yes. So typically how I've seen it done is that new board members and current board are all, I guess, new, vote. So there's 18 of you. Am I counting right? No, 15, 18 total voted. There's 18 board members in this room right now. 15. Sorry, I don't sleep very much. 15 board members in this room. You now have the ability.
So 3 of them are not. 12 are here. 12 are here.
Right, okay. So I would suggest is just doing kind of open voting, if that's okay with everybody. I mean, we do have ballots if you wanted to do secret ballots, but I feel like it's a pretty positive group. So I would just start with why don't we start with secretary? So maybe folks who are interested in being secretary for a year, it's a 1-year term, and that, should I talk about what that includes?
Yeah, secretary, you're responsible for taking the minutes at the meeting.
Yes.
And typing those up.
An orientation packet for you.
Ideally, you could help with the physical mail that we don't know what to do with sometimes.
Yeah.
You provide records to Southeast Uplift when they request it, and there's a few other specific record-keeping things that they require throughout the year, but it's nothing intense.
Can you give approximate time commitment, just a ballpark for people to know?
Do you?
I had that.
No, Patrick.
Yeah, so every meeting and then, probably like 2 hours or so, but an hour to 2 hours, depending on how lengthy the meeting was to prepare.
A month.
Yeah.
A month. And there's a nice little packet here that tells you what your roles and responsibilities are, and even if you're not sure how to take notes or what to document on those notes, it has some sample notes, so it really outlines what your role is. So who is potentially interested in that position?
I am, but if there's somebody else who wants it, I'm willing to be the assistant or backup.
Oh, it's good to know.
Yeah.
It's a good
Is there another person?
Yeah, and you could always rotate if you didn't want to take notes every meeting, but wanted to share the position. I mean, I always recommend sharing things because it makes it easier. Okay, well, it sounds like it's Stephanie, and then she'll reach out when she isn't able to make meetings. So, okay, all in favor? Oh, you do it because I'm not board member.
All in favor of accepting Stephanie as our elected secretary? Say aye. And all opposed, nay?
Yep.
All abstaining?
Okay.
Unanimous. Stephanie is our new secretary.
Well, we got 12 meetings.
Save your hand for next meeting.
All right, so our next one is treasurer.
Treasurer, and let me get my little packet out
So may I have the list of
You may.
So treasurer maintains our accounts, reimburses for expenses, provides required fiscal paperwork for our for Southeast Uplift for the nonprofit requirements, and reports at the meeting on the balance in the books. And that's pretty much
And
it.
I apparently I didn't bring the treasurer. I must not have made a copy of it, but we have a similar packet, and it has like sample materials again, so it's pretty.
And our treasurer that's till the end of the month moved out of the neighborhood, but she has said she will train whoever is her replacement in-house. She does all the books, so, and she's been doing it for a while.
Great.
So who do we have interested in treasurer? We have Lynn interested in treasurer, and then I believe that we had Jean Blackmore, and was there anybody else?
I think it was just her and Jean.
Okay.
We have all kinds of papers in front of me.
Okay. Yes.
Lynn and Jean.
Yeah, okay. So, board members, we have two treasurers on the table. So, do you have a question, Stephanie?
Yes, could we vote for one as treasurer and one as backup?
Ooh, co-treasurers. I think we can do that. Can we do that,
I think
Leah?
that's a terrific idea.
Okay, so let's vote for a primary treasurer. We'll have both if both treasurers are elected, we will have them both trained. So for primary treasurer, we have Lynn. So all in favor of Lynn as primary treasurer?
Okay. Keep your hands up.
Yep,
Is
keep
that-
your hands in. You get to vote, yeah.
And Lynn is here.
And Lynn is here, yep.
I count 11.
I count 11 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, all opposed to Lynn as primary treasurer? All abstaining? We should have one more board member.
Did somebody not vote? Or maybe we miscounted?
Did Lynn vote for herself?
Yeah. Okay, it must have been unanimous, you must have just.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so Lynn is our new primary treasurer. And let's vote, Jean Blackmore is also interested in treasurer, so we can have her as our co-treasurer. And so, all in favor of Jean as a co-treasurer, board members?
12.
Okay. All opposed? All abstaining? All right. Jean is our co-treasurer. We are a lucky board to get two treasurers, guys. I'm not going to turn that down. So then we also have vice chair.
Vice chair and chair. Do you want to talk about, you two can talk about the roles. It sounds like maybe.
So vice chair has always been, at least as it was explained to me, is it really is to support the chair, and it's not a defined role because it's whatever the chair needs at that time, I guess. I would also love if it was more defined. When I was vice chair, I had no idea what I was doing either. Rob, do you want to talk about what the time commitment is?
Yeah,
Roughly a month?
For me personally, the time commitment is kind of varied. I'm in kind of a unique situation because I'm probably on the road for work at a minimum of 1 week a month, sometimes 2 weeks. So for me, I try to commit to making the meetings. And in several of the meetings in the past year, I've played an active role in kind of being like a timekeeper, particularly for we had candidates for the city commissioner positions come in and giving their 2-minute speeches, kind of keeping them aligned. And for a couple of the other meetings where we had people come in from outside and speak, kind of just being a timekeeper, kind of whispering in Chelsea's ear, hey, time, 5 minutes, things like that. I've basically taken tasks on from Chelsea as she's needed assistance with them. I have one keys to the mailbox, and I'm trying to check the mail every couple of weeks, and trying to get anything important to go to the right people. And just other things other responsibility tasks as they come up.
So would you say you're spending like 5 to 10?
That was a really long-winded answer, sorry.
That's okay.
Since like 5
So like 5 to 10 hours a month, maybe?
Yeah, next.
Okay. Stephanie?
And can the co-chair be called on to be my TriNet bus stop trash remover backup?
If they live on that side of the neighborhood, I'm sure.
And Southeast Upland doesn't have like a specific role definition for vice chairs or co-chairs. It's whatever you guys decide.
And our bylaws define it as a vice chair, and then gives very little on that. So who all is interested in being vice chair? All right. All right, Rob is interested in being vice chair again. All in favor of Rob continuing as vice chair?
Yes.
You can vote too, Rob,
Oh, I will abstain.
Okay. All opposed?
You don't want a unanimous vote, Rob?
Well, you would be number 12, so it's how are
I
you?
counted myself. didn't I?
Okay.
I think I did.
If Rob
You counted
abstained,
10?
that's 11.
Okay,
So
all
he looked, I
opposed?
didn't count it again.
All abstaining. Okay, we have one abstention, and that's Rob.
Did we have an, oh, I missed
Rob
it.
is an abstention.
No.
Cross there, he's really doing this reluctantly.
All right,
Chair. Chair's the last, and
okay.
Actively.
who is interested in being the chair? Chelsea, you could probably talk a little bit about the role, since you know it so well.
So the chair is definitely depends on the time commitment you want to put into it. You can do a lesser amount of involvement and mainly just run meetings and kind of facilitate information running. I have taken a more active approach and spend probably way more time on it than the average person would. But I would estimate that the minimum time commitment for chair is at least 10 hours a month, so.
And from Southeast Uplift's perspective, we look to neighborhood association board chairs to be the leader for their neighborhood association and their neighborhood. So if there's an issue that arises, like I'll say an example, in Mount Tabor last month, there was an issue where people were marking people who supported the Greenway, which is ridiculous, but we would email the chair and say, hey, there's something coming up, can you mention it and like make a statement at the meeting? Other things we look to the chairs is just to help facilitate different projects. So maybe we don't know the primary contact, but we'll connect with you and you can get in touch with whoever on the board is volunteering to do for that specific project. You also help to set the agenda. We're looking to you to make sure that you're meeting notification requirements, so posting agendas 7 days in advance on your website, things like that, or delegating it to somebody and facilitating the meeting. So that's kind of what we look at chairs look for you for.
Okay, is anyone interested in being chair besides me? How do I do a vote for that? Okay.
Just do it.
So all in favor of me continuing as chair, I guess? Aye.
I'm in favor.
Oh, okay, I guess I'll vote for myself. Some confidence.
Keep your hands up.
Patrick's having math trouble tonight.
And count you.
I did count me, it was 11.
Okay, I keep getting 11 and
Yeah,
12.
yeah. We must,
All
alright, I'm
abstaining.
reducing all the numbers by 1.
Yeah.
All opposed? All right, it passes. All right, and then, but we do want to give a huge round of applause to Leah for being out here and doing our elections. All right, so we have a few minutes for board business, and we could also maybe get out a little early tonight.
Yeah, that works.
So really fast, I want to give Grant some time to talk about Community Watch, because we missed him during community announcements because he was counting votes.
Cool. Well, there's not a whole lot going on this month. I mean, basically, we had a pretty good amount of luck in terms of getting people geared up before the season hit, when all the campers start, rearranging their lives, and we've actually put up a pretty good expectation. So now, not only do law enforcement have a certain degree of expectation set out, ahead of the game, so they know what we are coming to get used to as the new baseline for what we like in our neighborhood. We're seeing some actual movement from the livability plan that was filed like 2 months ago. They're actually stepping up enforcement. We're seeing a lot more random patrols through the neighborhood. It's been a little bit crazy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, this last week especially, we've seen a lot of people, because of the increased enforcement on the spring water, a lot of those folks are kind of getting into the neighborhood a little bit more. Just trying to triage people, being as compassionate and reasonable as possible, and trying to get them the services they need. While at the same time, if we see a situation like we had at Candy's, which is down that way, like 72nd Carlton, where things just got really out of hand for like, pardon? Clatsop, yeah, my bad.
Carlton's that way.
My bad. Yes, she knows. Well, we just had people that were evacuated from Cartlandia. They basically caravan down to that parking lot because it's right on the border between Clackamas County and Brentwood-Darlington. So we had a little issue with the police deciding who's going to actually enforce on that property, because Candy's has been, it's condemned now because of the structural damage from that wreck when the person drove into the building, so.
And that's just like a little market, or?
Yeah, it is. It wasn't a little, it was like a convenience store. And so now it's kind of a no man's land. There's no real like engagement from the owner of the property because it's going to be sold and flipped and whatever else. But in the meantime, it's been kind of a pocket of crazy activity between there and Cartlandia has been kind of like the hot zone for Brentwood-Darlington right now. Everywhere else, like if you were to call like a year ago what it was like over on 60th versus what it's like right now, it's like
You can still view it on Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly. We just had that brought to our attention that
It's our street view.
Yeah, our street view is currently of last year and not exceptionally flattering, but we're working on it. And aside from that, we just have our summer social is going to be in June. Yeah, in June it's going to be like a reggae themed summer solstice party over at Misdemeanor Meadows, so that's kind of cool. And aside from that, I think that rounds it out. Other than the signage, yes, I'm getting bids on neighborhood watch signage, and I should probably have pricing and availability on that next month. So other than that, yes. Go
Question
ahead.
from, do Stephanie first?
Oh, okay, so there was some posted concern about how the police were handling different misdemeanor and other infractions where they were incarcerating people, but they were citing them, they would have a court date, they would have to show up. Is that all sorted out? I mean,
I wouldn't say that it's sorted out. I just think we've had to kind of adjust our expectations. Right now, where there's just not enough space to get people that have committed crimes to stay for longer than that 4-hour visit, basically, of getting booked, getting a court date, and then getting back out on the street. Unless they're really dangerous people that have, an exceptionally long and violent criminal history, there's probably not going to be a lot of a chance for them to spend much time in jail currently, and that's just the state of where we're at.
Yeah, okay, but that was.
But it was sorted out more or less, but it didn't exactly instill a lot of confidence in me when I heard it, because it definitely sent the wrong message. And honestly, the officer that kind of put that out there was speaking out of turn to a degree. He was aggrandizing the problem a little bit, embellishing where he probably shouldn't have. But it's the same as it ever was, and only because we're in a situation where they keep cutting the ability for people to fund these jails and the mental health facilities. We're just operating with such a deficit of services for people that we have to be realistic and just keep our eyes open on the streets. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Did you have anybody else have another question? Yes. Yeah.
Was the business that was in Candy's, did they own the building as well, or was that were they renting the property?
I think they own the building. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Where they relocated, or if they relocated, or?
I don't believe they relocated. Yeah, they just shuttered up the business basically. So.
But they owned it for years. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Still in the building right now?
Yeah, they just closed the building up.
Just shuttered it and said, oh, see
The
it.
lights are on, you can drive by, the shop's not empty.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what the process is going to be. Just right now, it's kind of that blighted zombie eyesore kind of feeling, and we're going to try to get something to happen there in the way of like progress for the next thing. So
What do the signs look like? Neighborhood watch?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Does it incorporate the logo, or is it?
actually, I can't use the BDNA logos
Okay.
because I'm not sanctioned by the city, but we have a different styling of logo that we've gotten designed by somebody that's in the group.
Okay.
And it was voted upon like 3 months ago that we would let that be our logo. And so I'm looking at getting durable signs made that have that logo for people to mount in their
And you'll
yards.
put that up on like utility poles, or?
Wherever people want them for their own property. They're going to be for private
I gotcha.
property. Yeah.
So kind of like our neighborhood signs that go in the yard, okay.
Yes, exactly. Except a little bit more durable, and they can be mounted for a longer time, and ideally not fade. That's why it's
And they
taken.
say community watch, not neighborhood
They'll
watch.
say community watch. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
For those who don't know kind of the language difference, the Community Watch is not a sanctioned neighborhood watch group because they take a different approach than the city requires for you to be a registered neighborhood watch. So they are a free entity. Oh, I'm attacking with my pen. They're a free entity here in the neighborhood, but the Neighborhood Association partners really well with them on various neighborhood projects, and we're happy to support whenever our ideals line up. So, Lynn?
I have a question about, speaking of signs, PBOT was supposed to put signs on parks for the no overnight parking.
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
I have had many spirited conversations with people at parks and with the police department that made these promises to me. it's the same checks in the mail kind of attitude that you get, you know, and it'll probably take 2 more months before they actually appear. But according to them, we're, you know, 2 weeks out, and I've heard 2 weeks out for 4 weeks, so whatever that means. I'm on it, but it's just, it hasn't happened.
I'm happy to call whoever if you want help.
I'm gonna talk to Sergeant Tig about it and see where we're at, and if that kind of a rally would be appropriate, we'll definitely do that. Anyone else?
Stephanie, do you have another question?
So this isn't really in your purview, I just thought you might know. Lots of people have posted 20 is plenty signs. Has anyone experienced any negative consequences, people speeding in response to?
No, I mean, I have people have lined my street with them, and you know, I still have jerks that go speeding down it in the middle of the night. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a nice gesture to say 20 is plenty, but I mean, there's really not an effective way to truly enforce that right now. So
2 weeks.
it's in the mail, man.
All right.
All right.
Thank you
Cool.
for the comment. All right. Now, board,
It's actually the old Area 52.
we don't really have a whole lot of business other than elections this month and the ongoing events that we're doing. If you are volunteering at the cleanup on Saturday, please show up by 8 a.m. to set up. If you are coming to our cleanup on Saturday to dump your junk, please read the list of prohibited materials. We don't want to send you home with your junk. And
No construction. No
yep,
construction.
it is very large, it is over there, and we will be taking cards this year, so, all cards.
Credit card.
Anything that'll go through a square swiper, I'll take.
How much, just to recap, what are the prices?
They're written somewhere, it's $20 for a car, $30 for a truck or van, and $15 for a trailer, and $5 for a mattress. And those are our suggested donations. If they are outside of your financial ability to pay, you just say, hey, I'm going to donate less, and we say, thank you, have a nice day. And if you want to donate more than that, you absolutely can. It is not too late to find your $5 off coupon in the B. They were mailed out if you have a subscription. And
the money goes to?
The money, this is one of our big general fundraisers. So not only are we helping clean up the neighborhood and get rid of your junk, but we get a certain amount back through Metro and Southeast Uplift and BPS. Yeah. And it's very complicated how all that funding works, but the end result is we generally make anywhere from $600 to $1,300 depending on the year and quality of load. And that goes towards things like movies in the park. That will be in July, and those movies cost us $950, $750 if we qualify for the poor neighborhood discount. I can't remember what they call it, but it's, sorry. That's the worst way to phrase it, but it's
Economically challenged.
yes, economic challenge scholarship kind of thing, where they will knock $200 off the price.
We qualify.
And we qualified this year. Gail does that paperwork. She is amazing at that. And, but again, that's still $750 that we have to fork out to do that fun thing. So when you dump your junk and you don't want to really swipe for that $20, remember, that's movies in the park, that's spectacular, that's National Night Out, that's our signage, that's everything you see us do. It is all based on donations. So donate generously, clean out your house, dump your junk, come and volunteer, and let's all leave early for the night. Please take snacks. Oh, before we go, Esther?
Well, I would like to ask the Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association for a donation for the Teachers Appreciation Week. In the past, the Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association has taken over a gift to the teachers. One year it was dry erase pens and it had a Brentwood-Darlington business card attached to it for all the teachers. I'm pretty sure that Kendall Palmer was spearheaded that, but if we could get a gift to the teachers, there's approximately 45, 50 staff members over at Lane, and anything kitschy or cutie or whatever. I mean, we're doing flower seeds and
probably extra gum because they go the extra mile, but.
What's what exactly is it? The Lane Teachers Association?
It's the Lane Middle School, teachers
Staff, right?
for the Teachers Appreciation Week. So just think of me as a parent asking you to give them a gift. Just something little. I mean, it doesn't have to be something extravagant. Just,
Yeah. Board members, do we have any opposition to doing something nice for the teachers at Lane? I'm sure that we could do something nice for them under $150, which would not require a vote. Yes, Stephanie?
How about the other two schools?
I think that's a great idea. Would we like to do something for all of the schools?
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Would we like to do something delicious or something they can use?
Or savory?
They appreciate either or. So, I mean, on Monday, we're bringing in donuts and coffee. Friday, the principal is making the Lane, she's doing a lunch for them. And Wednesday, they're getting cookies brought in by a parent, so, you know. Tuesday or Thursday.
And I know that Woodmere is doing their teacher appreciation, they do a lunch for the teachers on Wednesday. I do not know when Whitman's is. Board members, do we have any opposition of maybe deciding that we want to give the teachers like a gift card, or do we want to like show up with donuts or something?
Well, they're getting donuts on Monday, so do something other than donuts.
Rob?
I would vote for like something, either a gift card would be used for like supplies, or we buy them some sort of supply that would be useful.
Do you have a certain supply they're in need of?
I know that, you know, they could use dry erase pens and erasers, or permanent markers, or things like that. Teachers are always in need of those. I mean,
Yes, they are.
makes a former teacher, so.
Okay. Board members, do we want to approve a budget and assign a couple of board members to do something nice for the schools next week?
I'd be willing to.
Okay.
To move something.
Meg's interested
Make a
in working
motion.
on that project. Esther, are you interested in working on that project?
Yeah, I'll add it to.
Board members, how much would we like to spend per school?
What do you have an idea what things cost, or?
I think in between $75 to $100 for if we're gonna do like a supply kind of thing. Because at Lane, I know that there's 45 to 50 staff. I could actually get a solid count if I look at my email.
And Woodmere would have smaller staffs or no?
They have probably less, 40 to less, yeah.
They have more classified staff.
Right, but we don't have to divide by
No,
schools,
no.
we can just approve an amount that we're gonna.
Well, I was just thinking, if we
Right.
kind of think about ballpark, what we want
Oh.
to spend per school, that would give us a good budget.
Yeah.
Do we want to go with $75 or $100? Rob, you look like you no? Pam?
Can you just remind us how much we have to spend and what percentage of our
I don't
budget
have
that
our
might be?
current,
Roughly.
Ross sheet on us, but the last time I saw the account, there was, the last report from Robin, there was a little over $2,000 in the main account, about $3,000 in the savings.
Yeah, it was like 5 something, yeah.
So,
So not a lot.
well, $5,000.
Seems like a lot to me.
Well, we did get the donation
Yeah,
from
that's a
the
lot.
egg
That's
drop,
not bad.
and that, the egg drop donation.
Yeah, we have
is kind of
$2,400 coming in from
earmarked
the egg
for
drop
the-
donation.
Oh, that's not a part of that.
No, not that I
Okay.
know of. When I started, we were at about $7,000 at the beginning of the year, and so we were down to about 5.5, and then we have the egg drop donation, so.
Okay, so my one statement on this is that I'm on the site council at Lane, and I feel like there's a lot of good energy right now of the school community bridge that's building, and I would like to suggest that we allocate $200 to be used in an appropriate manner between the 3 schools, is sort of my thought on that, as a community building connection piece to the schools.
Okay, would you like to make that a motion?
Or
Or is there any discussion?
But what
And this
does
is
it
part
mean?
of
I don't-
teacher appreciation, right?
What this would be, so what Mike's proposing is that we take a budget of $200 split it between the 3 schools and do, let's say, a gift card for supplies for the teachers to freshen up their classrooms.
That is my motion.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the motion is on the table to budget $200 to spend between the 3 neighborhood schools for Teacher Appreciation Week. Discussion?
If we did 200 divided by 3.
Oh, that's not enough? Oh, I'm sorry.
If we did 225, that'd be 75 between each one, or.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
300 and do 100 between them.
Would we like to amend the motion to 225 or 300?
Let's amend it to 300, I mean.
I agree.
We have the cash.
And it's really important, yeah.
Board members, is there any opposition to amending that? All right, amended motion on the table is to approve $300 to split between the 3 schools for supplies or something nice for the teachers. And discussion?
Just a second.
Oh, Rob seconds it. You got that? Rob
I
seconded?
get it, yeah.
Okay. All in favor of $300 for the schools?
Where we go? Okay.
All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes.
Thank you, Esther, for bringing that up.
All right, anything else before I release this? All right, please take cookies and coffee home with you. Thank you all so much for coming. Have a great night.